And I'd like to ask the Vice President, what has she done to question my loyalty to this country? I served in the United States Marine Corps. I went to Iraq for this country. And my running mate took a bullet for this country. So my question to Kamala Harris is, what the hell have you done to question our loyalty to the United States of America?
JD Vance has finally began hitting back against the smear campaign that Kamala Harris has been running for the past week, and you certainly love to see it because right now, Kamala Harris thinks she has the momentum. She thinks she's in her honeymoon phase, so now is the time to take the narrative back. Now is the time to start responding to her ridiculously dishonest and bad faith attacks, and JD Vance did exactly that at Trump's rally last night in Minnesota, and we will react to that in today's video and much more. So folks, if you enjoy the content, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe if you are new, and without further ado, just take a listen to this clip at the rally because it is absolutely on fire and on point. Check it out.
I saw the other day Kamala Harris question my loyalty to this country. That's the word she used, loyalty. And it's an interesting word, simplify, loyalty, because there is no greater sign of disloyalty to this country than what Kamala Harris has done at our southern border. And I'd like to ask the Vice President, what has she done to question my loyalty to this country? I served in the United States Marine Corps. I went to Iraq for this country. I built a business for this country. And my running mate took a bullet for this country. So my question to Kamala Harris is, what the hell have you done to question our loyalty to the United States of America? And the answer, my friends, is nothing. So let's send a message to the media. Let's send a message to Kamala Harris. Let's send a message to every hardworking patriot from Minnesota across the country. We are ready to have President Donald J. Trump back, and we're going to work our tails off to make sure it happens. God bless you all. Thank you. And thank you for having me, Minnesota, a great state.
Wow. That was on fire, and this is exactly the way you need to attack Kamala Harris. You need to be aggressive. You need to be fully gloves off. It's the opposite way of Biden, right? Because Biden was so senile and so just an old man that if you were Trump and you kind of saw this, you almost want to go a little easy because you don't want to look like you're bullying an old man. That is the opposite case with Kamala Harris. She is energetic. Yes, that is true, but she's also extremely pretentious, and she thinks also because she's a woman of color, she's doing the Hillary Clinton card, but even worse, that you're not allowed to attack her. And I saw someone make an analogy the other day that is perfect and also demonstrates why Kamala Harris is the one who is disloyal to this country and is in no place to question anyone else's loyalty. Is think about it this way. So if you're a parent, right, and you have a family, you have children, it's just common sense, you always lock the door at night. Why do you do that? It's not because you hate the people on the outside, but it's because you love and you are loyal to your family, the people who live inside your house. Compare that idea and understanding that's what a loving person does for their family with the way Kamala Harris has run the border in this country. It's been the exact opposite, right? We know Harris, Biden have had a totally open border. It's been a disaster. Okay. Well, the way I look at that, if you're not willing to seal the border, if you're willing to let in all these people without, the permission, without the consent of the American people, then by definition, you are disloyal to America. You do not love America, because much like a loving mom or dad would lock the house to protect their children, a loving politician would have a secure border, not just let people in that we don't even know who they are because they love their country. But the sheer fact of the matter is this: Kamala Harris does not love this country. And I think it's perfectly valid for JD Vance to turn that narrative on its head because it's ridiculously pretentious. Who the heck is Kamala Harris to look at an actual veteran and say you're disloyal. Like, if you want to drag this debate into something that's sort of dirty or cruel or nasty like that, let's take it there, right? Kamala, do you want to have a question about loyalty in this country? Do you want to have a debate about that? Because I guarantee she's going to lose. And again, this is exactly the way you need to attack her. Much like Hillary in 2016, she needs to have a gloves off approach against her. So that's number one. Now, also, you may have seen that the Kamala Harris campaign has been spreading around this clip of JD Vance where he basically says that people should be economically incentivized to have children through the tax code, which of course already exists. It's called the child tax credit, but they're apparently attacking him now for supporting the child tax credit. So take a listen.
I think it's simple, and I'll go back to something I said earlier about we need to reward the things that we think are good and punish the things that we think are bad. So you talk about tax policy. Let's tax the things that are bad and not tax the things that are good. If you're making $100,000, $400,000 a year, and you've got 3 kids, you should pay a different, lower tax rate than if you're making the same amount of money and you don't have any kids. It's that simple.
I totally agree.
Now, you heard that. I think in many ways, it's actually a pretty common sense position. It's called the child tax credit. It makes sense. Obviously, we want people to have children. But even that aside, just considering the fact that cost of living is higher when you have children, you have to pay for the kids and all the stuff for them. It's even just fair from a practical perspective to say you should get some deductions. You should not have to pay as much in taxes. But as you may have seen this week, Kamala Harris and all of her surrogates have been destroying JD. They've been tearing in. They're saying, oh my gosh, you support the child tax credit that already exists? How dare you? So the Kamala Harris campaign posted this. They said, JD Vance says adults without children should have their taxes raised because, quote, we should punish the things that we think are bad. Now, that is obviously not what JD Vance is saying. He was saying that we should lower taxes for people who do have children. I don't think he ever advocated to raise anyone's tax rate. But again, if you think that's crazy, this already exists. It's called the child tax credit, which apparently, according to the Kamala Harris campaign, this week they're coming out against. They are against the child tax credit, and JD Vance responded to that. So take a listen here.
This is about criticizing the Democratic Party for becoming anti-family and anti-child. We have to ask ourselves, Megan, why do we have masking of toddlers years after the pandemic ended? Why do we have the Harris campaign coming out this very morning, Megan, and saying that we should not have the child tax credit, which lowers tax rates for parents of young children? It's because they have become anti-family and anti-kid. And I'm proud to stand up for parents. And I hope that parents out there recognize that I'm a guy who wants to fight for you. I want to fight for your interests. I want to fight for your stake in the country. And that is what this is fundamentally about. The Democrats in the past 5-10 years, Megan, they have become anti-family. It's built into their policy. It's built into the way they talk about parents and children. And it's time that we called that out. I don't think we should back down from it, Megan. I think we should be honest about the problem.
A great response there from JD Vance, and I think this is something he does so brilliantly, is he doesn't just respond to the left with, that's not true, or I'm going to clarify what I was saying, but he also goes on offense, right? He throws something to the other camp. So he doesn't just say, oh, I was actually clarifying that I meant the child tax credit and that already exists. He goes on attack and he says, this is because the Democrats are anti-family. See how that works, right? Because what they always try to do against conservatives is they want to set the narrative and they want to have us in a position where we're always playing defense, trying to like fight back. No, we don't believe that. We're not racist. We're not this. We're not that. And we never get a chance to set our own narrative. And so what JD Vance does here very brilliantly, and I think he's been doing a great job of, is not just responding, he's also setting the narrative back. Democrats are anti-family. How dare you question my loyalty when you're the one who is disloyal, etc., etc. So here's what I'll say in closing. I think despite all the panic that some people are having about JD Vance, in many ways, he's smart and he's actually doing a pretty decent job right now of being Trump's running mate, not just in responding to the personal attacks against him, but also making sure he doesn't just play defense. He is playing offense and he is setting a new narrative in contrast to what the Democrats are saying. So folks, let me know your thoughts on all of this in the comment section down below, and be sure to let me know if you think this smear campaign against JD is going to work, because I know people are freaking out. At the same time, I view it like, okay, they were going to attack anyone who was the VP. Remember what they did to Mike Pence? Remember how they said he wanted to electrocute gay people or something? So don't freak out about it. But at the same time, I actually think that JD is doing a pretty good job here responding to the smear and being very convincing while he does it. So folks, let me know. Be sure to leave a like on this video, subscribe if you are new, and until next time, God bless and peace.